Hello all, are you sitting comfortably? If so, then I will begin. First of all, my name is Ben, and I am eager to explain and develop into the design process for my new app, LangNow, your pocket AI vocabulary learning app for essential terms and phrases. So, let's get stuck in and meet Sabine Schulz. Originally hailing from Chemnitz, 26-year-old Sabine moved to Leipzig last year to undertake her MA in social sciences at the University of Leipzig. As is common for most of her generation, Sabine has a passion for her phone as well as living, laughing, and of course, traveling. She is native German, speaks proficient English thanks to years of watching American series such as The Big Bang Theory, and she can also speak a tiny little bit of Hungarian as half of her family hail from Hungary. Due to her family background, as well as following general contemporary trends, Sabine describes herself as culturally minded. During inter-semester breaks, she, and most of her friends for that matter, regularly plan and jet off to various destinations throughout the world to help out communities in the form of building wells and gracing them with their presence. That also conveniently double up as great Instagram photo opportunities. As a citizen of the world, therefore, Sabina looks to make an effort by learning the local lingo for all of her planned destinations, and that as quickly as possible via a technological solution, such as an app. After all, acquiring basic terms and phrases can make a huge difference when it comes to making the most out of new cultures. I don't need to know the entire language, just some basic terms and phrases to get by would be great, Sabine is often heard quoting. Generally, however, Sabina's lifestyle can be described as busy. Whilst chatting to her friends full time over WhatsApp, Sabina just about finds the time to work on her master thesis. She also has a part time job working in a vegan cafe, not to mention her charitable activities as part of the German only Refugees Welcome Society at her university. Basically put, Sabina often finds herself pushed for time. This can get in the way of a true passion, traveling and being at one of her fellow human abroad. She has downloaded language learning apps such as Babbel and Duolingo to help her learn languages, specifically for her trips, but she is unable to commit enough time to learning a whole language, not to mention her irrational fear of the overlooking green Duolingo owl. She longs for a solution to help her memorize relevant basic terms and phrases in several languages instead, and that whenever she has some free time. These could be moments such as on the tram, the occasional break during her master thesis, or just before bed in minute-long stints at a time. So, this information, as well as locating a general market gap, inspired me to come up with the idea for LangNow, an app which sets out to fulfill exactly what Sabina needs in her life: an easy and quick way to memorize basic terms and phrases for a variety of languages, with a special emphasis on ease of use. I drew inspiration from some vocabulary learning app competitors, notably WordUp and Lexilize flashcards. I noticed that the most engaging app, in my opinion, WordUp, had the most visually appealing and simple interface, onboarding process, login, and vocabulary learning modes, not to mention how easy it was to navigate the app itself. Regarding game modes, I took inspiration of Lexilize flashcards, who made use of a pairing game to help the user learn. I was convinced by the simplicity, and I felt that this general memorizing format was an effective way to learn, features which Sabine could definitely benefit from once integrated into LangNow. Therefore, creating an app which is not only easy to use, but also fun and relevant was the big challenge when it came to designing LangNow. So, taking inspiration from how WordUp combined its onboarding process with its sign-up process, this was something which I felt would engage users of LangNow themselves. The idea was that instead of Sabina being greeted with the simplistic sign-up page with Facebook, Google, and email, Sabina would rather be treated to this pretty simplistic sign-up page later on, after she filled out a quick and interactive set of questions regarding her native language, where she's traveling to next, how she studies best, as well as a quick and fun language assessment in the form of Lexilize flashcards pairing game model. Don't forget as well, Zabina and her pals are often pressed for time working in vegan cafes nationwide, so I highlighted the relevance of being able to start learning as quickly as possible. For the sake of context, let's imagine that this is Sabina's UK equivalent pen pal from the UK, Joe, who has a plan to visit Sabine soon and wants to learn German, hence that German is already present on the homepage, as you can hopefully see in my wireframes here. Joe's trip to an organic supermarket in his native UK inspires him to learn German supermarket phrases. From the way LangNow is structured, Joe can learn German supermarket phrases in a matter of 4 simple steps, as you can see demonstrated by the hastily drawn bag to represent a bag. Fair trade, of course. Moreover, let's pretend Joe also has a Russia trip booked too, and wants to add the term shopping to the existing supermarket category. Joe has the option to easily add Russian via the plus button on the bottom right of the screen, enter the language of his choice, so Russian, and be on the supermarket category page within 4 clicks. To complete the function, Joe can either speak or type the word into the search box, select the relevant word, and boom, the deed is done. So after having taken inspiration from apps and scenarios, as well as proudly bringing LangNow to life in some, as you've previously seen, low-fidelity wireframes, I put them to the test with actual lucky real-life people in the form of prototypes. I sought the help of 4 participants, each within the target audience that Sabine and Joe represent: young, tech-savvy, and travel-friendly. I placed the initial prototype created with Marvel in front of them and asked each participant to complete 4 simple tasks, totaling no more than 10 minutes per participant. As you can see on the screen or the slide, the tasks focused on 1, completing the onboarding and signing up to LangNow; 2, starting to learn supermarket vocab as quickly as possible; 3, adding a new term to a new language; and 4, navigating back to the homepage. In this first and as of yet final round of usability testing, at least 2 users experienced issues with the onboarding. It wasn't quite clear enough for their liking, which led some to be confused from the outset, even before they had even signed up to the world of LangNow. It became evident that I would need to work on the onboarding to not deter the users rather, before they had even dipped their toe in. However, I was pleased to see that all users could start learning a supermarket vocabulary pack extremely quickly, with no major obstacles stopping them reaching their destination. Saying that, some users would prefer clearer terminology when it came to what a pack actually was, whereas another user wasn't so sure as in what to do in the learning exercises. This was all pretty effective in allowing me to acknowledge that content would need to be adapted. The third task also went down well with my participants. They found the path to add Russian relatively simple, albeit for some minor interface inconveniences. Most testers instinctively mistook the Add Language box for the Add Language button, as the Terms box didn't properly indicate that terminology could be added to in itself. The original prototype clearly had content issues, which I set out to improve across the board. I was relieved, however, as it turned out that no users had problems navigating the flat navigation bar. I made no adjustments to this at all. It went down an absolute hoot for the participants, and this is something I'm quite happy happened. Improvements. The usability tests were not only a fun way to interact with potential future users, but also extremely informative in how to improve LangNow. From the quotes, notes, and general feedback gathered, I had a clearer picture on what to improve, which I thus did. First of all, I played around with and combined the onboarding with the sign-up page. I decided on 3 questions, followed by the sign-up page, followed by an interactive and brief language assessment to give Sabine and Joe a brief taste into how LangNow works once they've signed up, as well as assessing their language level. Additionally, I tidied up content across the app, adding pack to categories to give the app a greater sense of consistency. I increased the size of the plus button to direct the user away from the Add Language box, and also cleared up terminology when it came to Russian words. As you can see here, I'm extremely satisfied in seeing that the feedback was rather minor. A great start indeed. I am confident that LangNow has gotten off to a great start, bearing largely positive feedback in mind. I was especially pleased how easy participants found the app to use, as well as how quickly one could start learning. Remember Sabine's busy schedule from earlier? However, LangNow is by no means perfect and will require extensive development to cater for its various planned functions, be it speech functions, ease of use, visual animations, or how to properly store and access certain vocabulary. I ultimately hope that Sabine and Joe can find the time throughout their busy WhatsApp schedule to occasionally swerve into the categorized and simplistic nature of LangNow, thereby boosting their newly acquired basic foreign terminology out and about, without the green owl beckoning them back into the random and archaic language learning nature of Duolingo. Throughout this process, I gained a far greater understanding into how vocabulary learning apps can be tailored to specific audiences. I also acknowledged the relevance of a strong user interface, drawing upon successful competitor apps, as well as the relevance of good content to help guide the user to fulfill a function. Ultimately, I learned that the simpler an app is, the easier it will be to use. From a creative point of view, wireframing and prototyping helped to bring my concepts to life, and possibly the most satisfying step of the process itself. The process in general also gave me an insight into the importance of usability testing. If it wasn't for my participants and their insightful feedback, I would not have been able to gain a clear understanding of how relevant the app actually was to users. Every part of the process certainly played its part, but usability testing is something I will place particular emphasis on in my future projects. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I'm happy to answer any questions